going to do a brief business meeting, and then we're going to have a talk and a brief tour of the building. I'd like to welcome any visitors or first-time guests here tonight. And with that, we'll go ahead and begin with our business meeting. So, Mike, do you want to give us our treasurer's report first?
Our opening budget, we had at the beginning of the month, $10,244.02. We had income of $423.46, and we spent $103.68, which gave us a balance of $10,563.80.
Okay, and our present membership.
Membership, we finished the year at 260, and so far for the coming year, I don't know if everybody remembers, we start membership in September so that we don't have somebody join in November, pay, turn around and ask them for another $12 in January. So we always started at September. We have 27 life members, 9 people who have paid for a total of 36 members for this year.
Okay. Jan, you want to give us a report from the last month?
Okay.
Jan Mueller is not here tonight.
Last month, on September 11th, we met at the Newport Courthouse. We had 33 members in attendance. We had our brief business meeting with our regular reports. We were informed about the event that was held at A.J. Jolly. We sold about $120 worth of books and had a lot of people at our booth there. Mike Stahl was going to head up volunteers for the Senior Citizens Picnic, which we'll get a report on tonight, I think. Charlene discussed the Family History Conference, which I think she'll also mention tonight. That's coming up this weekend. Marvin reported on the Alexandria Fair Parade. Daryl attended a Hamilton County Public Library event that he will probably report on tonight. We are going to be attending a City of Dayton Festival on October 18th from 4 to 7. The ERPS Tour is coming up on October 19th, which we will have a booth at. Ken noted that he's looking for ideas for future meetings in 2015. If anyone has ideas for future meetings, let him know. And we have a couple of fundraising activities coming up that you'll hear a little bit more maybe about tonight.
Okay, thank you. Let's kind of run through reports. First, gifts and donations.
Jeff Weimer gave us a box of items from Green Line, as a few pictures and a couple brochures of the Green Line bus. Then Patsy Brown donated us a couple of programs from Beverly Hills, a few Newport High School Alumni Magazine newsletters, I think there's 2 of those, and then a copy of a Northern Kentucky Heritage magazine. And that's all the donation.
And then when they were building in Alexandria there at the top of Poplar Ridge Road, they tore down a whole bunch of buildings. I took a bunch of pictures of those. So those are laying in a folder on Pam's desk right now. I didn't fill out a form, I should have done that, but that's what those are from. It's from me. I took those pictures for the buildings that came down. Okay, we had a special donation, but we're going to talk about that later on. Family tree names.
In our FP5 files, we got $255,269, and in the 2012, we have $38,176 for a total of $293,445. Our original goal for the year was $290, and we raised that to $295,000 for the year.
Very good. Marvin, anything on cemeteries?
Well, yes, there is. For the benefit of those that are unaware about the St. Paul's United Church of Christ Cemetery, it was actually a Protestant Reformed thing, 150 years ago. And they have cleaned that cemetery up, and now there's a sign basically depicting it. This is behind the Southern States in Alexandria. And they put in the foundations for tombstones, so they're going to put the tombstones up in pretty much the same position that they were in. And I've got some pictures of this that I'm going to forward to Charlene with the help of Steve here. showing the northern kids up there and all the paraphernalia they had and things like this. And at some point, it'll be on the website for the St. Paul's Church Cemetery. Now, we've also had some communication about whether or not we, as the Historical Society, would want a cemetery. And I assured the guy, no, we don't want to own that property. He's concerned that if he's dead, the cemetery will disappear. So he's thinking that maybe the best way for that to happen is, not to happen, is for him to get buried. And I assured him, if you're dead and somebody else owns that property, there's no way that you're going to ever be assured that it's always going to be a cemetery. So we've been communicating with the county attorney, Steve Franzen, about this, and he sent me a pretty good list of what you have to do to maintain a cemetery and own a cemetery and be buried on your own property. It's a lot more complicated than I thought. So I got back to the guy, and he seemed a little bit disappointed that there were all these strings attached because he did not bother to check into this. So it has to be zoned. It can't conflict with other zoning. That's pretty much what it is. It has to be residential, A, B, C, D, or E, whatever. I don't know exactly. So anyhow, that's an ongoing thing, and I'm kind of anxious to find out how it comes out. But the point that I wanted to make to him is we do not ever want to own a cemetery. It just... And the thing that we're also getting some questions about who owns certain cemeteries, and I tell them they have to go research the deed, because most of the time it'll say on the deed, with the exclusion of the quarter-acre cemetery, but it didn't tell you where it's at. So the good thing is Buck Seibert and myself have got a lot of those GPS readings, so we found some cemeteries, but it's still such a hodgepodge. But anyhow, there's still things happening out there. But if anybody gets to Alexandria, behind the Southern States, there's a nice little marker there now, and you can see where they're starting to put the stones up. Thanks.
Yeah, and over the years, probably my 24 years as president, cemeteries have been the biggest thorn in my side. I can't tell you how many times people call me up complaining about this cemetery or that cemetery, and 90% of the time there's nothing we can do about it. Sometimes they've already been bulldozed, sometimes they're about to be bulldozed. We do the best we can, but you're right, we don't ever want to become owners of a cemetery. That's just a giant nightmare. We don't want to go there.
Ken,
Yeah.
this is Mr. Von Stroh. He is actually one of the guys that's doing most of the work up there.
I just wanted to add that we are putting the stones back up. We have 2 of them down here in Newport at NK Stone being repaired, and we have 2 others being repaired by a stone mason, tile mason person that knows about marble. But we have the Ferdinand Fromholtz stones are up. It's the Civil War soldier who was buried there, who died there as a result of action down at Fort Anderson near Wilmington, North Carolina. Was brought up here brought to Cincinnati, or actually Covington, by riverboat, and he died at the hospital, which I believe was Booth at the time. But his stone, he has 2 stones. He has a Union stone and a family stone that's in the far end of the cemetery, if anybody is
How many
interested.
graves are there?
We believe there to be about 10 graves. That's all we've been able, that's all NKU discovered, was 10 graves there. That's what we always thought. It was approximately
Now,
that.
stand behind Southern States facing the house. Is it on the right or left-hand side of the house?
It's on the, facing the house would be on the right-hand side, which would be the west side of the house. We actually own 2 feet of that house. Obviously, it was built and not much concern about boundaries at the time.
And that too is another whole long story.
But
I've
we
heard that over
did
and over.
remove the old barn that was collapsed, that was half onto our property.
I'm glad you people are working on that, because if somebody doesn't take the charge, a lot of times that just gets lost. I really appreciate that. Jan, anything on the newsletter?
The next newsletter will be out at the end of December. It'll be the January issue for 2015. It'll include membership information. Anybody that has articles, get them to me hopefully by December 1st, so I can get that all put in and print out. We've had some correspondence. There's a couple events coming up. There's a genealogy workshop this Saturday at Kentucky Historical Society. There's information on that. This is Family History Month, in October. The Kenton County Library has lots of events going on. There's a little flyer here, I'll put it up here. You can look at that if you're interested.
And the next one,
Fundraising things. We have Kroger's got in touch with us. I think it was Pam Casebolt had done the Kroger. If you have a Kroger Plus card, you can go online and sign up to get, whenever you make a purchase at Kroger's, a portion of that will go to us as a fundraising activity. So it's a really easy activity. We don't have to do a thing. All you have to do is sign up online, and I'm going to have instructions for that, how to do it, in the next newsletter. Jeff Weimer, I think, is working on a similar project where if you order seeds from a company online, they will give a portion of the profits to us. And we don't handle the seeds, we don't do anything as an organization, just you put in our name or something. And I will also have information about that in the January newsletter.
I
But,
was going to ask you, when's the next newsletter coming out?
well, it's December, but it'll be the January issue. Maybe at the next meeting, I'll have those instructions printed out for signing on with your Kroger Plus card for that rewards program.
Thank you. Pam's not here tonight, but her report she gave to the board of directors was that the veterans' records are up to 13,090, which is a phenomenal number. Picture collection, Steve is digitizing them, and he's up to Newport.
Right.
So eventually they'll all be digitized, so we'll have a very accurate record of those. And in a few minutes, I'm going to talk about something even much bigger than that. The senior citizens, how'd that go?
We had a lot of interest from senior citizens, but they want everything free, as oldies. So we didn't sell any books there. They really enjoy looking at the yearbooks and looking at the photo albums that we take out there. It's just that we tell them, hey, this is just a small sample. I'm not carrying them all up and down the steps.
That's right. We have a new sign out in front of the building up there. Several people have made comments that our sign is gone or it's been taken down, all this kind of stuff. Well, that's not really true. What happened was the Conservation District became informed by the City of Alexandria that their sign was in non-compliance, even though it was okayed by the City of Alexandria. So basically the county stepped in, took both signs down, put up a new one that included information for both of us. Our sign, our part of the sign is the lower part, the smaller letters, so a lot of people don't even really see us on the sign anymore at all. We're still there, all of our information's there, it's just that it looks different now. So we're still there. Shirlene, you want to mention the conference Saturday?
Okay. All right. Family History Conference is Saturday, this Saturday, the 11th, from 9 to 2. Our keynote speaker is Kurt Holman from the Perryville Battlefield Park. It's out of Danville, Kentucky, which went down there this past weekend with my brother. It was a fabulous presentation with all kinds of stuff that was going on. I really was impressed with how Kurt Holman has really brought this battle to life, for Kentucky. The conference is free. It's at the LDS Church on Buttermilk Pike. The lunch is $5. We did ask for pre-registration. If anybody wants to go, tell me tonight. I'll add your name to the list. But you're welcome to come and enjoy the talks and any of the classes that we might have.
There's a brochure if you're interested. Okay, I got a phone call from a lady who's interested in turning the second 12-mile brick schoolhouse away onto a road. I'm not quite sure what she plans on doing, if it's going to be a bed and breakfast or what she wants to do with it. Anyway, she contacted me, and her first word out of her mouth is she wants to put this in the National Register, and I think she got the impression it was going to happen in a couple of weeks, and I said it could be 13 months. You get a church that Marvin and I worked on, this is not going to happen very quickly. And I said, besides that, you need to have somebody working with you that can do a historical preservation review of the building for you. It's a complicated process. Not that it couldn't happen, and it probably could very well happen. And I said, you know, the outside of the building can't have changed very much. I know this particular one had been used as a haunted house by some church that they caught on fire and burned out one of the rooms. But I think the brick building is fairly well made yet. It was one of the last schoolhouses built in Campbell County. It was a two-room school, which they didn't build many of those. And then in '36, the state closed all of them and made them all consolidated into bigger schools like Jolly, Grand Slick, and Alexandria. So it closed. So it's been off and on, a house, all kind of things over the years. It's been abandoned for several years. So I'm glad she's interested in it, and I gave her information to contact Kentucky Historical Society about it. So we'll see how it goes. I wish her all the luck, but it's not going to be as fast as she was hoping, I don't think.
Where was this?
Oneonta Road. It's,
Oneonta.
Yeah, Oneonta. It's very, very near Highway 10.
Okay.
Okay, the History Day report. We had a very, very good first meeting. We practically came up with almost all the topics, provided we can get people to do these. But we have a nice History Day for next year will be March 28th. And very little changes except that NKU has slashed the history department's budget by a lot. And so they're not going to be able to fund a lot of stuff in the future. This year they budgeted in there, but following years, we either have to raise the price a little bit or something to cover some of these costs. I mean, as I said, we have money in the treasury for that, so that's what we should use that money for. That's what we take it in for. So you won't see a significant increase in anything next year, but after next year, but there may be a few things. But anyway, it looks to be a very good, interesting conference. And as always, we'll have an opening speaker, which this year is going to be Paul Tencotti, and he's going to talk about the 200th anniversary of the city of Covington, which is coming up next year. So it should be a very interesting talk he's going to give. Darrell, you want to talk about the Hamilton County Library, or was it genealogy?
It was a genealogy event called the Meeting with the Experts. And I hate to ever call myself an expert on anything, but Jeff Weimer and I went over to represent the Historical Society. You couldn't sell anything there. It was just basically hand out literature and answer questions. And they had a lot of tables there. We happened to be between a Civil War thing here and a Sons of the Civil War Veterans here. It was almost funny in a way because everybody lined up to see the people at that table, and then they walked past us and talked to the people at that table. And we were getting kind of lonely, so you didn't get a chance to talk to that many people. But it was pleasant. We had some conversations with people. We just had a good time that day, handing out some paper, some membership forms and newsletters and such. And it was a nice little event.
Glad you went. Thanks for going for us.
No problem.
All right, now the next thing was an interesting, I told the board about this. 3 years ago, D.W. Gray, who owns a photography studio on US 27 down in Southgate, Fort Thomas, whatever you call that side of the road, has that large old building sitting there, called us up and said that he has retired and he wanted to do something with his negatives. And would we be interested? I said, absolutely. So he said he'd get back to us. So I got back to him no less than 6 times over a year, and finally just gave up on the whole business because it was obvious that he wasn't ready to do this yet. So out of nowhere, 2 weeks ago, he calls me up again and says, am I interested? And I said, yes. And he says, I'll call you. So I figured, okay, 2 more years. And then, believe it or not, he called me right back a couple days later and said, how about tomorrow? I said, okay. So I took my truck down there not knowing what I was going to go get. So I backed into his driveway, and they've moved out of the house. The house is being cleaned out, which was very difficult because you could already walk through the floors. There was so much stuff sitting around. So he takes me down a flight of steps to the basement to a corner, and there's 12 boxes. So I said, okay, this is going to be okay. So I picked up the first box, realized it weighed 40 pounds, and each one was going to be heavy, so okay. So I'm on the 11th box. I said, well, I've just about got this. And he said, well, that's about a fourth of it. So he says, the rest of it's on the other side of the wall. So I go around the other side of the wall, and the entire wall was lined up end to end, 5 boxes high. I said, well, how many boxes are there? He said, oh, there's about 50. I'm thinking to myself, what have I got myself into? So I decided that no matter what, I was gonna get it in my truck, and it became evident that it was gonna fall out of my truck, so I found pieces of plywood and jammed them down all sides of my truck. So I have this 5 boxes high, in the whole back of the truck. I started piling them in the front end of the truck. So I'm on box 49 or so, and he's standing out there watching me, and the sweat's running off me. I said, well, how many pictures are in here? And he says, well, if you look at the last box you just carried out, the number on it is 8,700 and something. And he said, that's a number of sleeves. I said, well, okay, what's a sleeve? He said, the sleeve is what we put the negatives in. So each sleeve would have between 12 and 25 pictures in that sleeve. I says, and how many is that? And he says, he thinks it's just about 500,000. And I'm thinking, oh my God. So, and I think to myself, you know, fine. So I talked to him, I said, well, having all these negatives isn't going to do us any good unless we have the copyright, he writes it off for us. Because he owns the copyright to them, we can't do anything with them. So he assured me that he was going to write up on his own stationery copyright release that gives us all rights to them. So if somebody comes up and says they want a picture of Mom and Dad's wedding in 1963, we can find it and make a copy of it for them. And by the way, the pictures go back to 1949, which is when he was a junior in high school. That's when he started taking pictures. He has every negative he ever took his entire life. So then the wife comes out and says, oh, by the way, you need this. So with a stack about this thick, 2 big binders, this is the Bible. I said, what's the Bible? She says, it's a list of every single sleeve and every single box in numerical order and who's on that sleeve. I thought, wow! I mean, that just makes the whole collection 30 times more valuable now that we know who's on every single sleeve. So it's quite a collection. It's probably the single biggest donation we've ever got since we started the Historical Society. And she asked me, what are you going to do with them? I said, well, I really don't know yet. But we're going to definitely be preserved. And hopefully at some point we'll be able to use them to their best ability. I mean, I noticed in a couple of pages there was like information about the class reunion of 1938 from Newport High School and things like that. I didn't find anything about Beverly Hills. I was hoping, he lived so close there. I thought maybe he had something about Beverly Hills. I couldn't find anything at all about Beverly Hills. I'm really surprised. So when I call him up, I'm going to ask him, did he take any pictures of that at all? It could well be. It had nothing to do with his photography studio, so maybe he did do that. But anyway, it's quite a collection. It's unbelievable. So, and to make the day even more perfect, when I had them all loaded up, I realized I didn't bring my keys. I couldn't get in the courthouse at all. So I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do with these? So I ended up backing into my barn, pulled the doors shut, and left them in the back of the truck, and I was trying to get some help. Couldn't get any help right away. And then I called the county maintenance guy up and asked him permission to stack them on the first floor instead of 3 flights of stairs. We're going to go up 2, and we're going to put them on the first floor of the courthouse. And he says, I said, well, I need to get back to you. I don't have any help yet. And he says, what time do you want to load them? I said, I was going to do it next morning. He said, well, I'll bring 2 of my workers, we'll get them out for you. So it took me an hour and a half, it took us 20 minutes with them guys. So it worked out great. So all as well as ends well. I mean, every once in a while things do work, and they happen the way they're supposed to. So that's a very good thing.
Do we know when the earliest and the latest pictures were?
He retired in 2004. So my guess is he was still on film, and everybody's going digital, and that's probably what pushed him in the other direction. But the first pictures, I think, go back to 1949. He opened his business in the 50s. I think 57 or something like that's when he actually first started taking pictures. So it's quite a collection. I mean, I don't imagine. I mean, I've always said we probably have more veterans records than anybody in the state. I could know for sure we have more negatives than anybody else in the state. There's no doubt about that.
More school students too.
Yes, yeah, lots of high school, Newport and Highlands, he must have been the official photographer for both of them. We have tons of pictures from both those places. Weddings, anniversaries, senior class portrait, all that kind of stuff. It's just lots of, I saw Sharon Nieses in there, our cousin. So, all right, new business. Let's see, Mid-Atlantic, Germanic Society is having a conference coming up October 25th, if you're interested. And I heard some kind of disturbing news this week, too. Dr. Stamper's Log Cabin, which is as you come down out of Alexandria, Cold Spring, down Double A Highway toward Wilder. The big log cabin sitting on the right-hand side, right off the edge of the highway. And Mr. Stamper is considering bulldozing it or burning it down. So I have not gotten hold. I have a meeting tomorrow at the Fifth Third Bank in Highland Heights, and I'm going to go into Stamper's veterinary hospital and talk to one of the Dr. Stampers. The two sons are both doctors there. See what the plans are. We're not going to take on a log cabin. I'm not. But if all else fails, I will find somebody who does want it. I don't want to see it bulldozed. I don't want to see it burned down. And to my knowledge, I'm almost sure, and I'm correct in this, they moved the Double A Highway a few feet left to avoid that building when they were building it, because Dr. Stamper had asked for an exclusion they only required us just a little bit of realignment to do that, but it'd be a shame to tear that building down and just have it burned. So, I mean, I've saved, I don't know how many log cabins over the years, and I'm hoping I can save this one if all else fails, but it'd be nice if it just stayed where it was and you can sell the property, but I don't know what she has in mind, so I'm going to talk to her sons and see if we can't come up with some kind of resolution. All right, future meetings. Well, first off, here in October, after this night's meeting, we have the Camp Spring Herbst Festival down in 4 Mile. Our booth is going to be up at St. Joe's. If you're interested in helping out, we could use some help up there. November 13th, we're going to be at the Wilder City Building. Ben Bernstein is going to come out and talk to us about the present and past and future ventures of B&B Riverboats. That is also our election night for Board of Directors and officers. On December the 11th, we're going to meet at Wilder City Building for our holiday social. We're going to do some brainstorming for our 2015 meeting ideas. The Hills of Kentucky Dulcimers are going to come play for us that evening. We ask everybody to bring dessert or a snack. I'm not sure about drinks. How do we handle that in past years? Can I bring them? Okay.
We bought them.
And then I'd like to honor Mr. and Mrs. Gray that night. This is a fantastic collection, so I think we should do something for them at that meeting to honor them that night. Starting out 2015, January the 8th, we're going to meet also at Wilder, and one of our own, Richard's going to give us a talk on Abraham Lincoln. And I've confirmed the dates for February, March, and April, also down there at Wilder. I am working on 4 speakers right now to fill those slots in, so when I get those verified, I'll let you know what those are. Does anybody else have anything else at the moment? Yes?
Just got a comment about Mr. Gray. About 10 years ago, I asked them what they was going to do with it because they were starting to shut down then. And Mrs. Gray says, we can't give them to nobody. I said, you know, Kenton County Library or Campbell County Historical Society would love to have them. She said, no, we can't do that because copyright, you know, because the people involved in it. I said, well, if you ever think about it, I said, that either one of them would take them.
Yeah, she assured me that we would get the copyright to it, and he'd write on their own
Yeah,
stationery.
like I say,
I think I'm gonna
this
call
was
him-
years ago, you know.
I'm going to call him back and ask him to have it notarized, so we need to have it every official avenue we can, so we don't
Right.
have problems down the road with that. But, I mean, there's no reason we couldn't reproduce some of these pictures for somebody who wanted to come up to it. But there again, everybody does, most people don't even know we have them yet. So the only way this is going to work is if the Bible gets put into the internet someplace so that somebody comes up and says, yeah, okay, there's my grandparents' name, we can go to them and we get a picture of them. Otherwise, they probably have no idea where they get it at all, not now. So that all has to be. I think we're going to put this all off until our 25th anniversary next June, and then we'll take on this big project after that. So I don't think we're going to hear much about it between now and then. We've got enough things going on at the moment. So, but the collection is safe and it's up to the office, so it won't go anywhere. All right, if that's all over with, we're going to have our talk about the church here and a brief tour. Up to you, sir.
So I know a little bit, not a whole lot about the church, so, you know, I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know. Let's see, the church itself, they broke ground in '09, and we moved into the church in 10. There's a cornerstone out here that says that it was in '09. And then in 27, I believe, of course that was before my time also, They added this part of the church, or the undercroft. That was added. Let's see, what else been added? In 73, we put on the northex of the church. And in doing so, we added this hallway and bathrooms at the end of the hall and a way to get up into the church from down here. Originally, you could come into the church here and then up those steps to the up or in the front door. And then, let's see, the other next addition was in 94. And that's when we built the classrooms on the back here. And right now, we're talking about doing another addition. Now, in 2005, we bought Dr. Anderson's property, and in doing so, we bought his house and then the house next door, which we rent now. When we bought that property, the city wanted it for a park, so it was kind of almost going to be a bidding war between who wanted it or who got it. And we knew that we couldn't compete against the city, and the city didn't want the houses. So what we did, we talked to the city and we bought the houses, the whole property, and then we sold the front lot, which is St. Nicholas, and half of this back to the city for a park. History of the church, that's about all I know. Well, I know more, but I would bore you, I guess. Is there anything that you need to ask about? Yes, sir.
The rock building is the original church?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
the stone is original out here in the front.
okay. Was the congregation somewhere else before they settled on this spot?
Yes. Originally, we were meeting before that at the fort, and I believe in, well, I don't know what building. I could look it up, but we were meeting at the fort.
And you're affiliated with the Diocese of Lexington?
Right. In Kentucky, there's two Episcopal dioceses. Originally, there was one, the Diocese of Kentucky, and it's split, and now the Diocese of Lexington and the Diocese of Louisville, and we're part of the Diocese of Lexington. And in the diocese, there's 23, in our diocese, I believe there's 23 churches. We are the smallest in size-wise in area, but we're the fourth largest in congregation.
What is the size of your congregation?
We have approximately 125 giving units. Now, what that equates to in people, I don't know for sure, but on any given Sunday, we have anywhere between 120 to 150. We have two services, 10 o'clock and 8 o'clock.
And the church in Newport, is that older than this one?
Oh, much older. Much bigger, but it's older. Yes, sir. That was, I don't remember when St. Paul's was built, but it's a beautiful church.
We visited it.
You're right. It's a beautiful church. It's very large. And of course, the Trinity Church over in Covington is, I believe, older than we are also. It is also much larger than we are. I mean, size-wise, congregation.
Was your church an offspring of St. Paul's?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes. Well, I think so, yes. And then we, as a congregation, we built All Saints Church, which no longer exists, out in Alexandria, not Alexandria, is out in Cold Spring. There were just behind school there, where the,
Dodsworth Lane.
yes, sir. There used to be an orphanage there, we used to take care of also, or help out a lot of. But we built that church and then now it's no longer there. It's been torn down. So we are basically the only Episcopal church in Campbell County.
Now, what's the difference between?
No, I'm sorry, not Campbell County, because we have St. Paul's in Newport, I'm sorry, yes.
What's the difference between Episcopal and Presbyterian?
The Episcopal Church is a shoot of the Church of England. When the Church of England split from the Catholic Church because of, if I'm not mistaken, Henry VIII. And the Presbyterian Church is a shoot off of the Episcopal Church, as is the Methodist. But the Episcopal Church is basically the Church of England or the Anglican Church. And in fact, there's more United States presidents were Episcopalian than any other religion. Any other thing? Can I help?
Was the church very involved with the Spanish-American War or the World War I or II?
We were very involved in World War I, World War II, and I'm assuming we were in the Spanish-American War. It was before my time, though. So was the other two wars. I know I was involved in Vietnam, so was a lot of other people there. And if you'd like to take a tour of the church, yes, ma'am.
Do you have any old record books you care to share?
Yes, ma'am. I gave what I had to Ken. There is more, and I wasn't able to find it. Our church was designed, or the architect was a gentleman named, I believe, John Weber. Now, whether or not John was his first name or not, but I know it was Weber. And he designed a lot of homes and a lot of buildings here in northern Kentucky, Fort Thomas especially. He did almost all of Inverness. He designed the Mason Lodge here in Fort Thomas. Two of the homes that I know of for sure down on Manor Lane, which was back in the 50s. Dr. Stein lived down there. I don't know if you know what house I'm talking about or not. But yes, he was quite a designer.
Well, what about baptismal records and marriage records and death records?
Yes, we have all of that. We have books and books and books of all the baptisms, all the marriages.
Do we scan them?
Pardon me?
Do we scan some?
Absolutely. I will see to it that you'd be more than welcome to scan them. Yes, ma'am.
That'd be great.
You give me
We're
more
always
work.
looking for new information.
Yes, ma'am.
Records are important.
I could make that available to you, yes.
Do you know where the stones came from?
No, sir. I'm sorry, I don't.
And the reason I asked that, the stones in the tower came from Carntown, Kentucky,
Yes,
the
they
quarry.
did. I knew that.
And the irony of it is, there were 3 old men that worked that quarry, but they loaded them on barges. They were using, hand carts, but they loaded them on these barges, and then when they came down the river, there was lots of volunteer help from the fort that got it on top of the hill. Any of you that were in the military, you know how volunteer help works.
Oh, sure.
You 27 guys and bring your meals. So I thought maybe because of the same size and structure, you don't know
That I
that.
don't know.
Okay.
But I do know that when we did the addition out here, we tried to match the stone. It's close, it's not, but we did use stone. If you walk through the hallway, these doors here, which used to be the original windows, we left the stonework, the original stonework from the outside is along the wall there. So it's not like it's been covered up. So the original stonework from the original building is on the other side of that wall, which is kind of interesting, I thought.
This is the original?
Right, when the building was first built, yes. Back in 1909, 1910. And of course, these were windows originally right here. And over here, at the end, we didn't knock them out the doors, and you can still see where the windows were, and we have inset, and we put shelving into it. Which is, just something, to do, space.
Nice looking hallway.
Yeah, it is. And then we added 4 classrooms and back steps up to the church.
Did you say your name was Von Stroh? Are you related to Philip?
It's my sister. Much older sister.
Tell her you said that.
Tell her I said that.
I would.
Believe it or not, this, it's 24 by 36, and they framed it and everything to.
You all like to
make
come up to
shelves
the
and everything.
church itself. The north deck, again, I said it was added back in 1973. Before that, we had no access to the church itself this way. So we built this hallway, and we built the
Very English.
yes.
I played around, trying to open up a couple different formats, yeah.
It was removed from that spot back in 90, no, late 80s. And the Bakers family, which are part of Fort Thomas, they had a window made, and it's the Mary Martha window, which is now in the chapel, and it was put here. And of course, after we built the chapel there, we put the beehives back where it belonged. No, this is the main church, the main sanctuary. The chapel we built on the addition.
They do take communion. They do.
It's a shame that you
Kind of can't appreciate it at night.
yeah, you can't really appreciate the windows at night without light coming through it.
I tell you, we should have visited this church in the summertime, so the light would have been out
Oh,
in the evening yet.
they're beautiful windows.
Now, that one obviously is much newer.
Much newer. And these windows, not like a whole lot of stained glass, they do open up. I don't know if you noticed the chains on them where they do pop open.
Now, there are windows on the outside of those protect them or not?
Two of them.
a lot of them, heating, expansion, subtraction.
The ones who do the other ones, because we've heard that by doing so, moisture back and forth. So we don't know. We don't know what to do with them. We don't want, certainly don't want to lose them.
The lead starts giving and then they buckle out or
Right.
buckle in.
Right.
And then the next thing you start having glass fall out. It's a major problem with all stainless. Of course, yours are a little different. You've got the wooden frame around yours.
Right.
Or most of them are just lead, period.
Correct.
So
I mean, they are leaded, but they're small enough that
Yes.
they're not, that
Yeah.
they're protected that
Yeah,
way.
sometimes some of these windows are so enormous that the sheer weight of the glass eventually causes the lead to sag.
But absolutely, if you want to come in, I'll talk to everybody and make sure it happens. If you want to come in and copy, the marriage and
That'd be
baptism
wonderful. Yeah,
records, you're more than welcome. More
that'd
than
be great.
welcome.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. My brother's got Parkinson's, so I'm going to get him home.
Okay.
So thank you very much. I
Oh,
really
you're
appreciate
very
it.
welcome. Here, in addition, we moved it straight back.
And where did this one come from then?
The thing above it, that was purchased right when we did our addition by a member of the congregation.
Oh, okay. So that's relatively new.
Yes, that's new. And we had a glassmaker come in and we had him
Send it in,
test
like I said, we
all these windows so that he would
to
get
me,
the
it's
same
really embarrassing to
light
have somebody
reflection
doing it in November, December, and then turn around in January and
So
say,
it's not, it looks old,
Well, I
but
was
it's
just
still
wanted to come and have
a new window. Now, we do have a new window in the chapel that it's completely different kind of glass, so you can really tell the difference.
Okay.
I bet she does.
I've never seen the tops of these windows open. If you wanted to, I'm sure they do.
No, the tops don't look, just the bottom.
It looks like the tops are hinged too. They're not?
The bottom's open. And I would like to open one up where the outside panel a year ago. But with air conditioning now, you don't need to
You don't
open.
need to, no. He just said the tops don't open.
Yes, the bottoms still do, but they don't, because we had